All right, what's going on? It's been a minute since I've been live on here, but I said I was going to talk about this topic yesterday, and I'm going to talk about it today. Because yesterday I didn't have that much time. But anyways, what's up, world? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys having a great and exceptional day. So let's get it in, and let's do this under 10 minutes so that we can keep this video on this platform. All right. Today I'll be talking about Klarna. Klarna, you have a lot more than that when it comes to pay now. When it comes to pay now services, if you don't know what a pay now service is basically like a credit card, interest free, where you connect your debit card or credit card. I usually connect my credit card because I like to get points and air miles. And you utilize the system and to pay now instead of paying for the service or product that you want now. You pay it within payment installments. Case in point, I've only used Klarna for Airbnb. I found out about it last year, 2024, maybe 2023. It was a pay later system because I like to utilize Airbnb as much as possible when I go out of town. I said, "Oh, well, this is nice. I can pay for it now with my cash. I can pay for it now with my credit card, but I'm going to pay for it, do the pay later. So my bill on my credit card bill isn't as big, and therefore I'm making smaller payments to pay it off gradually, and therefore by the time it's paid in full." With my credit card, I've made the payments on my credit card and it's done. So that's how I use Klarna. So I'm speaking from experience. I've actually utilized the system, and it's a great system for things of that nature, vacations, you know, maybe outing, like, a concert, things of that nature. I think it's good for utilizing it for those things. If you know you're going to have the money. I think it's a bad idea now that people are utilizing it for DoorDash because it's like, okay, unless you're not mobile, it's like, why would you utilize this system to buy McDonald's food, to buy food on DoorDash and whatnot? You're just making your life harder than it needs to be for something that costs $25 to $35 as opposed to using pay later for something that costs $300 to $700. For that sort of thing, that makes sense. Up to $1,000, that makes more sense instead of utilizing it because obviously then it adds up and then you can get screwed. And if you don't pay up, you won't be able to utilize the system. I've always made my installments utilizing Klarna for only Airbnb, but I'm sure as this profile system, this company gets more popular, it's probably going to get to the point where you can utilize it for darn near anything. Not just shopping. But gas, you might even get for gassing up a car, but airline tickets, whatever the case may be. That's what one's going to be able to utilize it for. But okay, so this article came out on, was it this one? Yeah, this article. This article came out on the 20th of May, talking about the buy now, pay never. Klarna losses double as U.S. consumers fall behind on payments. Now, we know in 2025 that there's a multitude of people who have lost their jobs, who are way behind, who are overly saturated in their debt to where it's just ridiculous. From student loans to car payments, it's normal to have a $700 to $1,500 car payment. When it comes to rent, $1,500 to $2,500 for renting an apartment. People having children, hey, whether you love your kids or not, you're supposed to love them. Obviously, you're supposed to take care of them. They are an expense. Anything that you have to, spend money is an expense. I love my dog to death. He's an expense, but I love him to death. I'm going to give him up. All right, Max. But anyways, back to the case in point so I don't run out of time here. So I didn't think that this was going to happen so soon, but the fact that it's happened so soon shows you the state of the U.S. economy. I don't do politics here. You want to do politics, go to your own platform. We're just talking about the numbers here. So anyways, article says, in an absolute shocker that you'll never believe unless you read Zero Hedge, Klarna, the Swedish financial technology firm known for its buy now, pay later offerings, reported a sharp increase in losses for the first quarter, driven by the rise in consumer defaults and economic unease in the United States of America. Now, we are in a time where credit defaults are at its all-time high. Credit card debt is at its all-time high. some would say the highest in its that's been in forever in the United States of America. But the fact that this system, because a lot of people that haven't paid up, they've been banned from this system and banned from other buy now, pay later systems. You even have people making TikTok videos about, hey, what are other buy now, pay later systems? Because I've been kicked off because I'm so far behind on my bills. My mindset is, but I still want to go on vacation. My mindset is you shouldn't want to go on vacation if you can't even afford to buy now, pay later. But that's just my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. Okay. So the company posted a net loss of $99 million for the 3 months ending in March of 2025, more than double its $47 million loss during the same period a year earlier. So their losses have doubled in 2025. The deterioration comes amid a rise in consumer credit losses, which claimed 17% year on year to 136 million, underscoring mounting concerns about the financial health of U.S. borrowers. Well, it's really simple. People are broke. People have lost their jobs, whether it's the private sector, the government sector. People have lost their jobs. People's debts are outrageous, and it's just hey. And this is the first year in 2025, even for me, that I've had to scale back on, and I don't have student loans. I'm 42 years old, never had a car payment. I've always driven older vehicles. I make a decent living, whether it's online, real estate, rental properties, wholesaling real estate, and obviously my job. No student loan debts. But even me, I've been clipping coupons even more so and looking at prices more than I ever have in my whole adult life, because that's just how bad things are in regards to the cost of living. It is what it is. So, and the cost of living's been on the rise, no matter who's in the White House, governor's house, or mayor's house. But it's just intensified, and it's just come full circle in 2025. Especially with people who had student loans, and now the student loan pauses have been lifted, so people have to come up and pay their money. So it's just the effect of the U.S. economy. It's in bad shape. It is what it is. There's no way to slice and dice it. And if platforms like this, because this is the mechanism, the whole purpose of this platform is for people to be able to, still be able to buy stuff, but not have to pay for it right now. They're able to just pay for it later. Buy now, pay later. I think it's a beautiful thing. But it is what it is. And unfortunately, the thing is that things persist the way that they are. If the tariffs actually are fully implemented, if we obviously see the prices rise, then we'll buy now, pay later. I won't say go bankrupt, but will they have to scale back on the services that they allow people to utilize? That's another question for another day. That's another question for another video. I'm speculating. I don't know. But if this continues, will these services have to scale back because they just made a deal with services like DoorDash in order for people to utilize the buy now, pay later when it comes to them buying food or any other services on the platform or whatnot? But will they have to scale back because of the U.S. customers, going into default? Because we've already had people going into default on credit cards. Now you have people in a significant amount of numbers going into default when it comes to buy now, pay later services. All right. So if you don't know, the business models providing interest-free installment loans for retail purchases has grown rapidly in recent years, especially in the United States, where the company has partnered with major retailers such as Walmart, eBay, and now DoorDash. But the surge in unpaid loans and shifting microeconomic conditions have intensified scrutiny of the company's exposure to economic headwinds, according to the Financial Times. I mean, I don't know why there's any scrutiny in regards to this system. You utilize the system. It's like getting a credit card. You read the fine print, and if you utilize it accordingly, if you don't pay, then one way or another, it's going to come back and bite you in the butt. It is what it is. I don't miss, and I'm just not saying that people aren't struggling, because I know people are struggling. These are rough times. But I know that, hey, because times are so crazy that so many people don't even care if their credit score gets affected. They're like, it is what it is. My life will go on. I can't, I've seen videos of people, men and women, all ages, they're like, what, screw it. I can't afford to get a car anyways. I can't afford to get a place, buy a home anyways. So you know what? I don't care about my credit score. I never thought I would hear people say that, but that's the times we're living in certain aspects, in certain ways. So anyways, to end this video off, because like I said, to save time, The results also followed Klarna's decision to halt its long-anticipated initial public offerings in New York after recent tariff announcements. Um, so basically they're holding off in regards to going public because of the recent tariff announcements, and a lot of people, a lot of people are in a stalemate in regards to what's going to happen with the tariffs. Whatever your political statements are, I really don't care. People just have to see what happens and just go from there. All right. So anyways, despite the growing defaults, Klarna emphasizes the short-term nature of its loan book, noting that 83% of its balances refresh within 3 months. The company said in a statement that it's closely monitoring changes in the macroeconomic environment and remains well positioned to adapt swiftly if required. The credit losses rate as a share of total payment volume remains relatively modest at 0.54%, a slight uptick from 0.51% a year earlier. Revenues for the quarters rose 13% to 701 million as the platform reached 99 million active users. The company has leaned heavily on artificial intelligence to streamline operations, delivering Monday's earnings to an AI-generated avatar of its chief executive. And another way that they're actually pursuing aggressive cost cutting, reducing its headcount by 39%. Wow. Over the past 2 years, customer service expenses declined 12% year on year in the latest quarter. At the same time, the company is grappling with a 15% rise in funding costs, now totaling 130 million. So I'm not going to read this whole article, but I will say at the end of the day that if things continue the way that they are, companies like this will most likely lose a lot more customers due to people not being able to afford to utilize it. Number one, or two, people just not paying, so therefore they lose access to the system as they go into default. So it's interesting. Like I said, I've only utilized Klarna for Airbnb. I remember looking up other services that they have, and it's like, okay, I don't really need that. And as like other people, I've scaled back on my spending. So it's just like, hey, if I don't need it, I don't get it. It's literally that simple. I've gone on enough. My only expensive thing that I like to do is travel anyway. So, and that's what cashback rewards and air miles is for. So, and points when staying at hotels, and points of when I get a rental car and whatnot. So, outside, or unless an airline has a big major sale and whatnot. So, outside of that, I have no reason to travel. So, on that note, let me know what you think in the comments section in regards to Klarna, any other payment services. I'm all for it if you're. It's like I used to be anti-credit card until I was able to until I tried to get a house and they said I didn't have enough credit. I only had one credit card and they said I didn't have enough established credit. So I was able to utilize it so I could pay to play in this economic world called capitalism. And then the same thing with the pay later. Hey, I'm all for it when it comes to me taking my trips because, hey, I'm going to utilize a credit card anyways. So I'm able to utilize a credit card to get cashback rewards, air miles, points, and I'm able to pay later. So it's a win. And then not only do I pay later with Klarna, but I pay later with the credit card. But I still pay it off, and I pay it off on time. So it is what it is. So do the great thiefy things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Make money moves or you're going to live broke like a fool, as they say in Spanish. Bienvenido a la vida. Welcome to the life. And if you haven't, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Larry's Anything Goes LLC, and my other YouTube channel, Patterson No Properties LLC. Take care. Thanks for watching. I'm out.